Well, good morning. We at the University of Technology Exhibition Center, there is a hive of activity here as obviously exhibitors and demonstrators alike have come out to really just show us some of the examples of the use of science, technology, engineering, mathematics and innovation. Of course, what that also means for our country, our global competitiveness, but also touching on equal access and inclusivity and representation as well. I mean, just in front of us, we've got the National Institute for Theoretical and Computational Sciences. To the right of them, we've got AIMS, the African Institute for Mathematical Sciences, and that is just speaking to the importance of this, of course, in honing those skills and making sure that it's accessible, particularly for marginalized communities. Female representation as well is an issue that will be mitigated against. But obviously research and development is something that our country aims to tap into. It's as per our National Development Plan. And so perhaps to chat a little bit more about the endeavors on that front and really what else we can expect as we literally step into the future. I'm going to be joined by the Managing Director for the NRF, SASTA, of course, that's the National Research Foundation for South Africa Agency for Science and Technology Advancement. We've got Dr. Mamoletsi Mosia to chat a little bit further. Good morning, Doc, and thank you for your time at this hour. I can see Simba the Lion just behind you, Joburg Zoo showcasing. But obviously there's so much to tap into when it comes to research and development in relation to STEM-I. Tell us about the key objectives and just some of the initiatives that you as NRF SASTA, have been enrolled in to advance this for our country at large.
NRF SASTA is a business unit of the National Research Foundation. We are an entity of the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation. As NRF SASTA, we are tasked by the department to coordinate and run science engagement within the country. So what do we mean by that? We need to get to a point where South Africa as a general, the society of South Africa is able to have conversations about science. We need to understand what technology and research is happening in the country, and we will not be able to do that if we do not get our scientists, engineers, researchers and all of those people to talk about the work that they do. When we do events such as the National Science Week, we often go to universities, and more than anything, the reason we do that is so that we expose learners, we expose the community to the research that's happening in the country. As you can see, we've brought at least 100 exhibitors from universities, from science councils, from SMMEs that are doing science-related work, science and technology-related work, so that they can come and show us today what it is that they are doing. That is related to the theme, obviously, of National Science Week.
Yeah, absolutely. Early on, we were exploring, the skills that are necessary, but also mitigating against the challenges that come with the brain drain. Tell us a little bit more how that's been faring for you as a foundation and obviously as a department, but what else needs to be done to combat those challenges? One
of the strategic aims of the science engagement strategy is to make science and technology attractable and accessible. The reason we want to do that is because when you go to school, you are taught science, but it's very abstract. Mathematics and science is very abstract, and you never get to understand why we do what we do. So one of the things that we aim to do is to bring scientists and to make them to communicate with society so that they understand that when you do this at school, for instance, as a learner, this is actually assisting in this, or the outcomes of that is that when you learn about velocity or when you learn about crystallization, for instance, I always make those examples, this is where it actually is used up. And for instance, we've brought in mathematicians here. Oftentimes we don't know where mathematics is used. So we want them to explain to us, so the fact that you're doing algebra at school, this is where it then leads you to, and these are the possible careers that you can actually embark on. You spoke about brain drain. That's one of the challenges, but the other challenge that we face as a country, for instance, is that you find that if you look at some of the science and engineering spaces, we don't have women. We don't have blacks, for instance. So one of the things that we are pushing as well, part of what we are doing here is to bring learners so that they can see themselves in the likes of me, and they see mathematicians and engineers who are doing brilliant things in the country, and they can see the possibilities that they too can actually do that. So, and part of it is so that we can actually encourage them to aspire to be the scientists and engineers. And by the way, we need the scientists and engineers to do the work, because I believe that technology is one of the things that is going to help us as a country to improve our economy with the jobs and all of that would be created through the technologies that will be developed in the country.
Absolutely, and thank you for taking us back to high school, grade 10 science, but obviously it's so important to see how it's implemented. The ecosystem is large, the infrastructure that's also needed. I mean, we've got meerkats, we've also got the bioscience labs, but also beyond that, we're obviously just looking at how, beyond the issue of representation as well, we're looking at the agency and the funding that comes with that, the challenges on that front. Tell us a little bit more about the journey you've embarked on. What more needs to be done there?
I must say that we are very fortunate that we are an agency of the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation. So most of our funding actually comes from the department. However, I am standing here to actually plead to society that we need a lot more money to invest in technology development so that we can solve our problems as a country.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dr. Mamuletsi, I know that you're going to be doing a walkabout as well, and we're obviously looking forward to the interactions that are coming. Thank you for being this representation for our country and the continent. Of course, flying the flag there high there with regards to representation when it comes to black females, flying the flag for our country in STEM. Of course, Dr. Mamuletsi Mosia chatting to us about her role at the NRF, SASTA. We're looking at the importance and the role that science, technology, engineering, mathematics, innovation, of course, plays and how it intersects in so many different sectors of our society. We're going to do a walkabout. As I mentioned, there are so many exhibitors, about 100 that are here to showcase what they have on offer and how we can also rope in, many more people. So as we continue with that, we'll continue with the National Science Week launch here at the Tshwane University of Technology. Hand it back to you in studio.